G'day all, welcome back to the channel. We're back on the internet together again today. We're talking crime in Melbourne once again. The first few stories today, it's talking about crime, break-ins, knife attacks, etc. Then we're going to talk about people living in poverty and struggling. We're going to follow it up with a bit of a rant about the superannuation changes that good old Jimmy C has made. All right, let's jump in.
5 teenagers have been charged after a father and son were stabbed in a random attack outside Crown. Police say an argument sparked the violence. 4 of the alleged offenders already back on the streets. Jack Ward has the latest.
Rounded up one by one, a group of teens is taken away after a bloody South Bank stabbing.
Like these days, you just expect it to be some sort of knife crime happening when you hear the sirens and the people.
Police say the victims were walking along Yarra Promenade just before 2 a.m. when the group bumped into them. It sparked an argument which quickly escalated. The teens accused of slashing the 47-year-old man and his 23-year-old son with a knife.
There's an innocent family minding their own business that end up in hospital.
It's weak, I think, if you're targeting families.
Police and paramedics.
They're absolute dogs. That's what they are. And people say, gee, man, don't use dogs as an insult because dogs are good. But dogs, in my context, complete scum of the earth, these guys. Whatever happened to kids sitting home and playing Pokemon, all right, on the Nintendo Switch playing Mario Kart? That's what I was doing when I was 14, not walking around stabbing people. What's going on with parents these days? Oh, yeah, the kids are just out. Yeah, just having a light boys' night out, just stabbing people. 2 o'clock in the morning, 14-year-olds walking around. I know I'm sounding like an old man, boomer, but come on. What are we doing here?
Medics swarmed the busy entertainment precinct, arresting the teenagers as they treated the wounded. A 15-year-old has been charged with a string of offences, including 2 counts of assault with a weapon. A 17-year-old and a 14-year-old were also charged but bailed, while 2 others were released pending summons. 3 of the boys...
Hang on. They're all out back on the streets then. Awesome. So hang on, you've literally stabbed someone or slashed somebody and you've been bailed and released and or got off. What a joke. No wonder they're doing it. No wonder there is so many instances on the news every single day of the week, and there are probably many more that don't even make the news of this sort of rubbish going on here in Melbourne. I'm sure it's happening across the country, but here in Melbourne specifically, it's a scourge. Every day. Because these kids know they're getting out. As I said, I don't care where they're from. I don't care if they're from here. Put them on a barge and put that barge out into the ocean and just let, no food on it, nothing, and just let nature take its course.
Boys returned to the scene late morning and spoke to the media. One admitted to throwing punches, but claimed it was only when their female friend was injured that things turned violent.
I don't understand why we can't just have peace and love, but everyone is just trying out to hurt each other.
This random attack comes just days after 2 men were filmed trying to slash each other at Broadmeadows Central. But the state government is adamant police and the courts have the powers they need to tackle knife crime. New video taken by one of the alleged offenders.
I'm going to get to this in the next story because I can't believe how stupid this is. But the cops should be like they are in America, like absolutely feared. You got a knife or you're caught doing crimes, you're going to be taken down hard over there. Taser to the face at a minimum. But nah, we got machete bins apparently. Let me talk about that quickly. Did a bit of research. Apparently they're bragging about statistics so far. They're actually been a success because 1,350, let's call it, machetes or knives have been deposited into bins so far. I'm pretty sure most of those, if not all of those, would have come from people who had them in their back shed and were using them for gardening purposes or had them lying around the house or maybe businesses. Pretty sure these blokes here on screen, they're not lining up and putting, oh shit, they got this bin near here. Oh, I'm going to have to put my knife in it. No, they're not doing that. Absolute joke. But look at these blokes, absolute spanners. Essentially, I talked about this a couple of days ago, but it's been on the news. This happened, I think it was on Friday night, so about 3-4 days ago here at time of recording this video. It's been all over the news. These guys having a bloody swashbuckling pirate fight with, they were fencing essentially with machetes. One of the Muppets has gone and taped himself doing it. How stupid can you get?
Initially on Friday, the first footage that came out was filmed by bystanders, so you can see footage. It's just kind of filmed through the security doors or by bystanders kind of fleeing the scene, and you can see that from a distance. These two guys dressed in balaclavas, holding machetes and swinging them at one another. And then today we've seen new footage emerge, just chilling footage that shows it from the first-person perspective of one of these guys that was involved. He's got a machete in one hand and a phone in the other hand. And then that footage that he's filmed, he's obviously uploaded and it's been shared around, but he's really brazenly filming while he's swinging this machete at this other guy. Like, we haven't.
That also makes me think: were these kids just setting it up for a prank? Not that that's any better, like terrorising people in the shopping centres with knives. But think about it: if you were literally scared and you're in a situation where you're going to be in a fight with someone wielding a machete and you're also having to use one as well, you're going to pull your phone out and start recording it? I don't know. I could be completely wrong here. I think people are just completely stupid. And as I said, I think people who are doing these things don't have any brain cells to rub together in the first place. There'll be subhuman IQ levels of people who use machetes just to solve problems.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Come here. Keep the chains in. Yeah, come here.
So police haven't made any arrests. The investigations are continuing. I'm sure police have an idea of the gangs that they might be associated with, but yeah, they haven't been tracked down yet. If you ask most Victorians, they would say it's the issue of greatest concern: youth crime, the crime crisis, machete crime, and it feels like kind of once every few days we're seeing footage like this come out. We saw it, the machete brawl at Northland a few months ago, and then this one as well. We're seeing aggravated burglaries and home invasions where people are wielding machetes.
Just about every single day. I've got a story about that. I don't know if they had machetes or not, but it's kids breaking into houses. I'm sure it's happening all over the joint every single night of the week here in Melbourne. I know those things happen everywhere, but it just seems like you got stories here of home invasions, carjackings happening every day. I'm not even looking for this material. It's literally there. I'm hunting it up and I'm trying to create a narrative here that doesn't exist. It's pretty low-hanging fruit, I'll tell you that much.
Or sort of walking down the street in broad daylight, holding them. And it's part of this obviously really concerning behaviour, but it seems to be these young criminals in particular are trying to one-up each other. And so that's why we're seeing more and more violent acts, and those being filmed. The government has, as part of a broad range of ideas to tackle youth crime. And
don't even get started on that horrible thing. I don't know why they have to bring that up, but it's a... I'm going to talk about that. We all know what happened there. But let's move on for that freeze frame, actually.
Machete crisis. They've introduced these amnesty...
Yeah, these amnesty bins that... I'd love someone here to explain to me how they're $300,000 or $400,000 a pop to have them fabricated, installed. I know people said, that also includes the safe removal of the knives or machetes that go into these bins. But they did have a guy who was a fabricator, and he said if you do a real top-notch job, he would charge, even with a margin on top, at the absolute most, 15-20 grand for one of these bins. 15-20 grand, we're paying as taxpayers $300,000 or $400,000 per bin. Why aren't people questioning that? Like, where's the transparency on that? But you got to say this whole machete bin thing, this has been criticised the world over. People are making fun of this everywhere. It's probably one of the most harebrained ideas that is not set in the real world. It's from someone sitting in an office who doesn't have any connection to what it's like on the street at all, or areas with crime at all. He goes, you know what? If we put a bin there and put a little slot in it, they're going to put their machetes in, and that's going to get rid of the crime. Everyone, please line up. Please line up in an orderly line and put your machetes in. We won't do anything about it. It's amnesty. Now, even if they wanted to, they would have CCTV all around the bin. So any person who wants to get rid of it anyway, they're not going to do it if they're someone who's been involved in crime. Anyway, let's move on. I thought this was a good story. Let's jump into this one. This one happened, last night.
Brave dad wearing only his underpants has chased down 2 home intruders in Melbourne. The father of 4 then performed a citizen's arrest, forcing the suspect to call police themselves. Jordan Quinn has the details.
It was just after 3 this morning here in the upmarket suburb of Hawthorn, where police say 2 teenage boys broke into a multi-million-dollar home. They were creeping around downstairs until they were spooked by a finance executive and father who had just woken up. Grant Brown chased the 2 boys out of his home and down Kincora Road, still in his underwear. Security cameras captured the 15-year-old taking a turn down a dark alleyway, but there was no way Grant was letting him get away. The father of 4 wandered down and actually came back with the teenager in a headlock, walking him down the street and waiting for police to arrive.
Get in the ground! Yeah!
One of them was trying to jump over.
What a legend. Good on him. Takes a bit of balls to do that, and then chase the guy out of the house too and down an alleyway, dark alleyway too. He could have been on the receiving end of a bit of machete action. So good on him. Even got the guy in a headlock and dragged him back up for the police.
Over a neighbour's fence and went down a laneway, and he was in a dead end, and I pulled him back when he was halfway up the fence.
The teenager was taken away while his mate was also arrested a short time later. But Grant says he gave no thought to jumping into action because he's sick of these young thieves and Victoria's youth crime. When the father of 4 performed the citizen's arrest, apprehending the 15-year-old, he says he actually even forced the boy to call 000 himself.
Pulled up his top to see if he had a weapon, and then this guy's like, "Don't hurt me, you can call the cops, just don't hurt me." I'm like, "All right, you can call the cops." And just pulled out his phone and made him open it up.
The 2 teenage boys have been taken into custody and will be interviewed by detectives throughout today. But the ordeal has left Grant's neighbours in awe. They have now given him the nickname of Captain Underpants.
Get on your Grant. All right, halfway, probably more than halfway. If you're enjoying the show today, consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing. If you want to get into contact with me or support the channel, there are ways to do so in the video description or the pinned comment. So next talking point for today is higher levels of Australians finding themselves living in poverty. And it is not surprising in the least with the way that things are at the moment. As I said, every time you go down to the local supermarket, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on some staples. Keep an eye on half a dozen items that you can remember the prices, and go in every month. You'll notice they've gone up 10, 20 cents. Keeps going. It's not stopping. I thought apparently inflation is under control, apparently, and it's only going to be very small increases from now on. Yeah, monthly increases. Get stuffed. Go look at the prices of chocolate. Saw Toblerone for like $25. Gotta be joking. Good old Colesworth. They're putting and they got the lint balls like $35 for a tub of them. $35. You're joking. People must be buying them. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it.
An urgent call tonight to help those in poverty as new figures reveal a soaring number of Australians living below the line. According to exclusive numbers accessed by 9 News, the high cost of housing remains the most significant driver of financial hardship.
For mother of 3 Angela Finch, each day is not about spending or saving, but struggle and survival.
It's in every living and breathing moment of my life and my children's life.
For safety, she moved to a shelter, making it hard to continue her casual work. Her story increasingly common. A new report from the Council of Social Services and UNSW shows 1 in 7 Australians live below the poverty line. That's 3.7 million people living on less than half the median income. The study used data from 2023 and
and guess what? Most of those people would probably vote Labor, I would dare say. And I'm not saying that as an insult in any way. They buy the whole Labor spiel that they're for the working person and they've got your back, and Liberals for big business. Now look what's happened now. The joint is absolute basket case. Go look at your electricity, your gas and water bills. People don't keep an eye on those. Go and keep an eye on the prices. Keep it. You look at them for month to month. Prices on those, they're creeping up. Food. Go to Woolworths or Coles and get a few bags. It's $150. I would dare say if you were someone living, you had 3 kids, hungry kids, you're easily spending $250 a week, even if you're trying to be cheap about it. Like 3 meals a day and all the other stuff to run the house. And I reckon that's being super frugal and buying all the no brand stuff and all of that. I don't know how people are doing it. I mean, it's I don't know, it's not a lucky country anymore, but I guess the only saving grace for that comment is it's not just happening here, it's happening all over the world. I've been to the US, I've been to Europe over the last couple of years. You go and look at the cost of their groceries, put the exchange rate in, it's through the absolute roof. Nuts. Eating out as well. I mean, that's just a luxury these days.
Illustrates a jump of nearly 500,000 people from the previous study.
There's also the mum guilt cost, where you feel like your children deserve a little bit extra that you know you can't afford, and you'll go without something just so they can feel like their friends feel.
2 generations after this pledge,
by 1990, no Australian child will be living in poverty.
Oh, wow, good on you, Bobby. Well, that definitely is not what's happened. And people say, well, gee, man, well, it was John Howard and Peter Costello and Kim Beazley or whoever else you want to say. All right, but we're here where we are now. We're 35 years on from 1990. 35 years rolls off the tongue. That's a bit scary that it's been that long. Most young people don't have much of an optimistic future ahead of them, especially when it comes to living the dream that former generations had. It's just not happening. It's just not. The numbers don't stack up. Let alone poverty. Go to Melbourne City. You'll see people lying all over the road, or not the road, the footpath. Even locally, even in my suburb in Melbourne, I see people sleeping rough. Train stations, supermarkets sitting out the front of supermarkets, a local Woolworths. You got people sitting out there with a sign. It's nuts. That's the one thing that really does annoy me. We give so much money to other countries and other causes and humanitarian aid and all that. I get it. I think we need to have humanitarian aid for here. There are a lot of people that need help and they've fallen through the cracks of society. And most people aren't there because they're lazy and they don't want to work or they want out of the system or whatever it may be. Most people love to have a job, love to have good mental health, feel like they're contributing, having something to live for. But they're down and out. And once you're down and out, it's very hard to get out of that cycle. And I haven't experienced it, but I know people who have. And it's like quicksand. So where's the help for these people? Where's the money? I'd rather tax money, don't worry about submarines and shit like that. How about we go and, put money in the right place and get people off the street, get them in halfway houses. Didn't they build all those quarantine facilities for COVID when they were going to herd us and lock us in those if we didn't get the jab? Well, what happened to those? Did they just disappear, or can we get people in those and build more of those similar type things? Even I didn't want to. That's just nuts. Even thinking about that was a thing, a processing facility for us human cattle to lock us up into if we didn't go along with the flow.
ECOS report says 1 in 6 children now face poverty hardships.
Those children are in every school.
Since the survey period, job seeker and rent assistance rates have risen, but welfare groups say they need to go higher.
We must fix the adequacy of social security. That is the income floor that protects you.
Tonight, helping families out of poverty is a challenge.
A job seeker is about $4,000 a year better off since we came to government. That builds on cheaper medicines, more bulk billing, fee-free TAFE, 5% deposits.
Keeping up with rents, the biggest test, housing remains the biggest driver of the cost of living.
And that's it. They'll say, oh, that's greedy landlords and the government and the media lays into the private sector. Why do you think rents are going up for the most part? The costs of even owning a property and holding it, they just go through the roof year on year. It has to happen. You got rates going up. You've got insurances up through the roof, up 30%. You got taxes, COVID levy taxes, land taxes here in Melbourne. It's the government's doing it. The government's pushing up the prices of rentals. Then they want to turn around and say, oh, yeah, landlords need to have it in their heart to charge less rent. Think about what happened around the pandemic response. And they were saying, well, they were telling people not to pay their rent if they couldn't pay it and the landlord needs to suck it up. But the costs for the landlord didn't go anywhere. The costs go up. You got to love it. You got to love it. I'm even going to get into the whole landlord stuff and all that today. I've done it before. But what I'm saying is people are fighting and pointing at each other. Like tenants are saying, oh, you got, Clive Palmer's renting me a house out and he's putting up my rent every year. I've got to move and they're throwing me out to sell or whatever it might be. Look at Big Brother. Right? Big Brother's doing this. People are pointing and fighting at each other. Government is the cause of it. Yeah, there are some unscrupulous people who are just scumbags and will milk it as much as they can. But I would say most landlords, if they had the choice, would prefer to keep a great tenant and keep rental increases as minimal as possible as long as the house was getting looked after. But anyway, I digress.
One of the issues raised at the recent economic roundtable here was how to get those Australians still looking for work matched up with the...
Economic roundtable, I know I'm stopping. I know I'm ranting. You're not here for the news. You're here for me ranting. Economic roundtable was tax roundtable. It's how do we sit here? It isn't about productivity. It's how do we productively tax everybody else and then make them vote us in to keep doing it. Or the only thing that came out of those meetings was how to tax people. Spare bedroom tax. That superannuation bullshit that I'm going to cover on in a minute in my closing segment. Yeah, productivity.
Many Australian businesses crying out for staff.
We know that there are people looking for workers. We know that there are people who are desperate to get jobs, and we need that employment services system to work to help people to get into those jobs and for the long term.
Charles Croucher, 9 News. And tonight, a fresh poll from our colleagues at the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age makes for ugly reading for the opposition. On a two-party preferred basis, Labor's lead in the Resolve political monitor is steady at 55.
How? What is wrong with people? I'm not saying Liberal are any better. Go vote Pauline Hanson or something. Or what are we doing here? Labor's got 55% preferential. Suckers for punishment. You keep taxing us more. I'm going to vote you to tax me more. I can't believe it. You just got to laugh. Need to go off planet, I think.
News. Let's take you straight to the Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers
GBC.
in Canberra, who is talking about some major changes to superannuation.
So let me run through the main changes. The first one is to increase the low-income superannuation tax offset, the LISTO, to increase it from $500 to $810, and also to raise the eligibility from $37,000 cut off to $45,000 in 2027 to coincide with the government's third tax cuts. This will mean more superannuation for 1.3 million Australians, of whom 60% are women. It means the total number of eligible Australians for the listo will become 3.1 million. And by one realistic calculation, it means about an extra $15,000 at retirement. That's the first change. The second change is to introduce two thresholds for the better targeted superannuation tax concessions. The first threshold is $3 million. The second threshold is $10 million. For earnings on super balances between $3 and $10 million, the rate remains 30%. The rate for over $10 million becomes 40%.
And people say, oh, well, that's good because they're rich people and they've got money. That's fine. Good old Labor voters. It's not good because they can just change this at any moment they want. This isn't locked in for life. Now, it's great. They're going to index it, which is fantastic. So a lot of people won't be paying this extra tax in, say, 20, 30 years' time when a $3 million balance is, like a $1 million balance today. I know that's still high, but it's not as high as you might think if you've got 45 years of working and investing in a superannuation with all the compounding growth. So how's it okay for people to have a high net worth and using superannuation the way that it was intended to be used legally, and now they're going to be stung 40% on over 10 mil? I don't know. People can say, well, people shouldn't have $10 million. That's bullshit. No one needs that much. But they earned it. They got it somehow, whether it be through investing, operating a business, whatever it may have been, family wealth. It's their money. Why should they be taxed more? It's just blatant socialism. They shouldn't be taxing superannuation at all. And they're going to come for you, whether it's another 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, when they need to start raiding the coffers because we're even in more debt. You bought a few more submarines. Things will change. I don't trust them. Can't trust them as far as you can throw them.
So this is still a concessional tax arrangement, but it's better targeted. It will still only impact less than 0.5% of Australians. With the updated years and taking into considerations earnings, this means about 90,000 Australians next year will have more than $3 million in their super, and about 8,000 will have more than $10 million. And you'd be aware in recent weeks and months that people have been recommending a cap to us for super. This second threshold at $10 million is really instead of going down that path. That's the second.
As I said, I firmly believe the government shouldn't touch your money at all. It's your money. You've already been taxed on it, regardless if it's at 15% going through the with the super tax that before it goes in. You've still been taxed on it. Oh, well, you got plenty there now. I think I might wet the beak and just help myself to it. I don't care if you've got $150 million in it. Get your hands off. It's massive overreach. People are all right with it because, like, oh, well, it's only 8,000 people in the country. It's just a wealth tax. That's all it is.
Second change. The third change is to index both of these thresholds to maintain relativity with the transfer balance cap, which was introduced by the Coalition. The transfer balance cap is indexed to CPI. These thresholds will be indexed to the transfer balance cap to maintain an appropriate relativity between the two sets of thresholds. We have always had in our back pocket this indexation or an indexation line.
Yeah, just in case people didn't say anything, you scumbags. Because you were going to try and rob everyone blind, but people were too smart for you and pushed back and made you look completely unreasonable. Yeah, we always had in our back pocket, but we just want to see if we can get away with it first. How dodgy is that?
Like this.
People don't, at the end of the day, these people should be working for us. We're paying them. As a collective, we're paying all their wages, and they're just scheming against how to make us poorer. Just, this is what this is. That's it.
in order to get it through the Parliament. We have also always said to you, publicly and privately, that we expect future governments would have lifted the old threshold. Here we are indexing that to make that clear, indexing both thresholds. That's the third set of changes. The fourth set of changes is to apply these new tax arrangements to realised gains. And I'll come back in a moment to the future work, the extra work that we will do in consultation with the sector to implement that change. That's the fourth change. The fifth change is made necessary by those other changes, which is a 1-year delay to consult and bed down the changes and then ideally legislate them as soon as we can in 2026. So pushing the start date from the middle of this year to the middle of next year in order to do a bit more consultation, to bed down the changes and to legislate the changes. For all of these changes we're announcing today, the new start date becomes 1 July 2026, except for the listo change, which is timed in 2027 to coincide with the government's third tax cuts. So that's the fifth change, is the 1-year delay. The sixth one is to better align the treatment of federal judges' defined benefits interests with the existing constitutional exemptions for state judges. Judges might have a bunch of different super accounts. This is really about the judges' pension scheme to make sure that there is better aligned treatment of federal and state judges when it comes.
And what about you guys who are exempt from it? To my understanding, and what I've heard thrown around is politicians made themselves exempt from this whole thing. So he talked about realised gains. He didn't touch too much on that. But how do you realise a gain in superannuation? Because to my understanding, it's in the market. It's invested in assets at any given time. So it's how does that work? That's good to hear that it's on realised gains. What is that when you withdraw it? Is that when you convert it to cash? What's that all about? Anyway, it's enough ranting today. You've been dealing with me for half an hour. Thanks once again. If you enjoyed it, consider subbing, liking and sharing. Cheers.